Today on Investigate TV Plus, all children deserve stable, loving homes, but that's not happening for thousands of kids in our country. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. Our investigation reveals most states aren't following the law when it comes to caring for foster children.
The fact that states aren't doing this, it's a failure because our children are left in limbo.
Plus, a small number of patients on popular weight loss drugs report severe mental health issues. Why one man sounded the alarm after his disturbing thoughts.
And I almost lost my life from it.
Then, this 8-year-old has her head in the clouds. How this girl's passion for planes is giving her the confidence to fly the friendly skies. In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
They're some of the country's most vulnerable children, and according to one advocacy group, thousands of kids spend too much time in foster care and wait too long for adoption.
Every year, about 500,000 children in the U.S. are in foster care. That care is supposed to be temporary, and there's a federal law to ensure it is.
But the National Council for Adoption says most states aren't following the law, leaving some children in foster care for years longer than intended.
Investigative reporter Kristen Crowley digs deeper into the issue and finds out what can be done to hold states accountable.
It felt good, and we all had a really good day.
This is a snapshot of what looks like a happy family.
They tell you to smile.
But snapshots don't always show the whole picture.
So how many foster homes did you live in?
7.
What kind of impact does that have on a child?
It's a hurtful process, for lack of better words.
Nearly 3 decades ago, Marcellus Washington, his 4 sisters and brother, were taken away from their home and put into foster care by the state of Kansas. Marcellus says it was clear early on going back to their parents, who he says were neglectful, wasn't an option. Adoption was the plan.
Were you aware of any efforts being made by the state to get you and your siblings adopted?
We were placed up officially for adoption on the Kansas Adopt Us portal when I was approximately 10.
But Marcellus was taken from his parents at age 6, meaning he spent 4 years waiting for a new home that he says couldn't come.
If they were doing a lot to find me placement that was suitable for me, it was not made apparent to me at all.
That was back in 2012. The delay in finding foster children a permanent home, some experts say, has only gotten worse.
Foster care was designed to be short-term, and states are keeping children in far longer than was ever designed, and far longer than Congress intended.
In 1997, Congress passed the Adoption and Safe Families Act, or ASFA, to make sure foster care is a temporary solution, not a long-term one. The law has something called a 1522 provision. It means once a child's been in foster care for at least 15 of the last 22 months, and reunification with a parent is out of the question, the state must work to find them a permanent home. Here's why that matters. The longer a child stays in foster care, statistically, the worse their outcome is. They're more likely to be homeless, to struggle in school, and have behavioral issues. But Ryan Hanlon with the National Council for Adoption says too many children are staying in foster care too long and aging out of the system without a family.
When 1 in 5 children is going to spend over 3 years in foster care, when over 10% are being emancipated without any permanency, without any permanent family, we have failed all of those children.
Hanlon says about 22 states complied with moving foster children to a permanent home quickly when AFSA first passed. Now, that number is down to 7.
How did we get here from more than 20 states complying with this to now only 7?
Well, the federal government has shown over the years that there's no consequence for failing to follow these rules.
The Department of Health and Human Services has the power to hold states accountable and could threaten their funding for not following the law. But Hanlon says that's never happened. So we asked HHS. The agency would not agree to an interview and did not answer our questions via email.
The fact that states aren't doing this, it's a failure because our children are left in limbo.
Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon sits on the Congressional Caucus on Foster Youth and says he didn't even know about the issue until we told him. He agrees something needs to change.
Hearing your feedback right now, I will draft a letter ASAP and ask my fellow co-chairs to get aboard. Let HHS know we're not satisfied with their response, and they that is their role, is to execute the law and to work with the states. And, right, our job is to do the oversight, make the law. So we will push them.
But after our interview, the congressman's team said they didn't feel writing a letter would do enough, saying, quote, Representative Bacon has decided not to send a letter as it is clear the law needs to be amended. Our staff is looking into what changes need to be made in the child welfare system. Representative Bacon's office said those changes could include language that lays out specific penalties for states not following the law, something missing from the current legislation. But any proposed changes wouldn't come before the next Congress is sworn in.
If every state were complying with this law, what would that mean for foster care and for adoptions and for children in general?
It would mean children are spending far less time in foster care. They'd be reunifying with birth family faster or being moved towards a permanent family, such as adoption or guardianship, faster.
A lot of luck's involved in foster care, so some get lucky, some don't.
Marcellus considers himself lucky, even though he spent most of his childhood in foster care. At 16, he finally got adopted. Today, he's a successful adult, a psychotherapist who helps foster youth. But he still wonders how life could have been different.
Had you been adopted within a year or two of being put in foster care, you think your life would have turned out better, the same?
I would say better. I'd have trouble thinking that would hurt me in any way, shape, or form.
As many as 10% of foster children will never find a family.
Which is why our coverage of the system and ways to address the problem doesn't end here.
Yeah, we introduce you to a Kansas City couple who created a solution for foster kids that they say is working.
It's about working to get them to the point to where they can go to another employer and be successful.
Randy and I are nice people. Our kids love us. But in general, if a child has an opportunity to grow up with a member of their family, they're going to be far better off than having to mesh with the family of strangers.
The idea they brewed up and their lifelong mission of helping children. You can watch the full story right now on InvestigateTV.com. Just search foster care.
Still ahead, how this woodworker combines craftsmanship with confidence to inspire young adults who don't fit the traditional mold.
Plus, the potential dark side of weight loss.
I know without a doubt that it made me violently depressed.
As injectable weight loss drugs take off in popularity, this man raises concerns about his serious side effects.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime, streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
In 2021, the Food and Drug Administration announced a new option when it comes to shedding some pounds.
Since then, injectable weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy have exploded in popularity.
A May 2024 Gallup poll found 6% of U.S. adults have tried the injectable drug, specifically to lose weight. But now the FDA is investigating rare reports of severe depression.
Investigative reporter Brendan Keefe spoke to one patient who says a drug nearly cost him his life.
And a warning, this story has discussions of suicide.
Clint Etheridge has taken steps to defeat his twin enemies, diabetes and food addiction. His doctor prescribed semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy.
It does something miraculous to your brain and your sense of satisfaction and fullness and your whole thought process.
You lost about 70 pounds.
Yes.
That's extraordinary in a year.
Yes.
The photos tell the story before and after. His diabetic numbers melted away with the pounds.
The drug worked.
Yes.
So what went wrong?
I know without a doubt that it made me violently depressed. I didn't want to believe it was the drug. Frankly, I wanted to remain on it and thought I might stay on it for life, but it just got progressively worse, and it led to a suicide attempt.
The FDA has approved 2 injectable versions of semaglutide, Ozempic for diabetes and Wegovy for obesity. Both contain the same active ingredient that leads to weight loss, and both have 15-page prescribing information sheets. For Wegovy, prescribers are told to monitor their patients for depression or suicidal thoughts and discontinue if symptoms develop. Depression is mentioned 5 times in the Wegovy prescribing information, and the word suicidal appears 14 times. But for Ozempic, the words depression and suicidal appear nowhere in the prescribing information. Novo Nordisk has the exclusive patent on semaglutide in the U.S. The drug company told us although Wegovy and Ozempic both contain semaglutide, they are different products, adding because of dosing they are not interchangeable and should not be used outside of their approved indications.
Wegovy and Ozempic, the breakthrough treatment for obesity, promises of fast results.
Weight loss patients have turned to the diabetes drug Ozempic amid shortages of Wegovy. Clint was unable to get the drugs made by Novo Nordisk, so his doctor prescribed semaglutide from a local compounding pharmacy.
Months later, after the event, I had started gaining weight again because I was not on the product, but I did do another dose. Within 24 hours, I felt the same level of depression all over again.
Clint shared his experience with the FDA through the agency's adverse event reporting system. We found 262 self-reported cases of depression and suicidal ideation for semaglutide products. That data includes reports of 20 completed suicides.
They feel strangely like kindred spirits who went through the same thing that I did, just didn't make it.
Whenever you talk about depression and suicide, we must take it seriously, and the FDA is taking a look at it.
Dr. Jane Morgan with Atlanta's Piedmont Healthcare says the FDA review of reports like Clint's shows the system is working.
And this is exactly how it's supposed to work. We don't leap to conclusions. We look for scientific data and evidence. You should absolutely speak with your physician if you're having any symptoms at all, and let she or he make a decision about what's the best course of therapy for you.
Novo Nordisk stands behind the safety and efficacy of all of our GLP-1 RA medicines when they are used as indicated, the drug company told us, adding, our review of the clinical trials, including large outcome studies and observational studies, did not find an association between the use of GLP-1 RA medicines and the occurrence of suicidal thoughts or actions.
I have zero doubt, no doubt that this drug caused me to be suicidal, and I almost lost my life from it.
So what should you do if you're taking semaglutide or similar drugs? The FDA says talk with your doctor. The agency also asks medical professionals to monitor their patients for signs of depression and suicidal thoughts. If you or someone else in your life is having suicidal thoughts, you can get help right now by calling or texting 988.
Still ahead, a young girl reaching new heights, how this 8-year-old is already jet-setting toward her dreams.
Plus, building furniture and connections.
There are ways of being able to do things that they never thought they could do.
How this woodworker is helping young adults gain new confidence while learning a valuable skill.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms. Like a person's fingerprints, no two brains are the same, not even those of identical twins. A term to describe people whose strengths and challenges differ from the typical is neurodivergent.
And those differences could be medical disorders, learning disabilities, or other conditions. Among the most common autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, and Down syndrome. Recognizing neurodiversity increases the chance for a child's success in learning.
An example of that in action is at this school for neurodivergent students in Evans, Georgia.
Teaching neurodivergent students, you have to be creative, you have to get them going, you have to keep them interested.
There, teachers use music and movement to keep kids on task.
It makes it much more easier for the words to flow, and it becomes an easier process because reading can really be tedious. With the music, with the actions, it allows them to keep that memory going.
According to the Cleveland Clinic, many neurodivergent people struggle in social situations, which can be tough when it comes to making friends.
Another school in Georgia is building relationships between young adults.
Reporter Joshua Skinner shows us how one of the instructors uses woodworking to make a difference in their lives.
Great Easton knows a thing or two about woodworking.
I was asked to fill in for somebody for 2 weeks.
And you've been here for how long now?
10 years.
Here, being Easton Academy in Roswell, which was founded by Easton's family nearly 30 years ago.
Okay.
It's a school that works with kids and young adults who don't quite fit the traditional mold, and that's where all this wood comes into play.
We do a lot of refinishing. We do repairs around the school itself, minor repairs.
For kids who don't often feel included in the outside world, it's a chance to grow. Is this the best part of your day?
Yes, 100%.
I made a table for my room.
A table?
Yeah.
Like a full four-legged table?
It's like a square table, but short.
The work itself can be time-consuming.
A lot of sanding.
But the final touches include a special type of shine that isn't physical, confidence.
They underestimate their ability to do things. They really have the talent.
The talent to learn new motor skills, get jobs, and even new hobbies.
There are ways of being able to do things that they never thought they could do.
With increasing acceptance, more people are opening up about their neurodivergence.
Including some big names, Oscar-winning actor Sir Anthony Hopkins, Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles, and musician and singer Florence Welch.
Still ahead, reach for the sky.
Absolutely unusual to see at this age that sort of interest and drive.
What inspired this girl to get on a direct flight to her dream job?
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download.
According to FAA data, just 10% of licensed pilots in the U.S. are women.
A young girl in Wisconsin has always dreamt of becoming a pilot, and at just 8 years old, she is well on her way.
Reporter Dale Ryman shows us how she's aiming for the sky.
No matter your experience, flying an airplane can still bring out the kid in a pilot.
Being able to fly is very rewarding. How are you today?
Bringing out the pilot in a kid is what Brad Lewitsky is doing today.
The fuel tanks, we got just over 12 gallons fuel on board.
A pilot in command since 1976. He's flown a few times already with Hazel Schaefer.
Stabilizer and the rudder.
She just turned 8 on St. Patrick's Day.
I had a goal to have 8 hours of flight time before I turned 8. And I got 12 before I turned 8.
Absolutely unusual to see at this age that sort of interest and drive, and I really wanted it to be her thing.
Mom Jessica has been around planes most of her life, but never a pilot.
I actually went to school for aircraft and power plant maintenance, and I never finished that out, but I've flown all over the world in many different situations and enjoyed aviation immensely, and was knew that I would keep that as part of my life.
Here's your headset.
A trip to EAA AirVenture in Oshkosh with her 3 daughters is when Hazel's dream took off.
I first wanted to be an air traffic controller because of their pink shirts. Then I saw flying and I was like, I really want to do that. And I liked it, so I just started doing it.
There's no guidebook for anything in parenting and leading your kids into activities that might be outside the norm. However, there are a ton of opportunities.
Opportunities like Wausau's EAA Chapter 640 and its Learn, Build, Fly program.
If you don't bring in the youth, you're not going to have a chapter or a program for very long. You have to encourage the kids to, take part.
I get to see all my pilot friends and it's just very fun and nice.
Like many kids, Hazel is shy, but put her in a plane and that shyness turns to confidence.
I offered her the controls and she did not hesitate. And so we set the trim on the aircraft and the power setting, and so she was able to hold an altitude without a whole lot of trouble.
A B.
A B for this lesson. Instead of passing with flying colors, giving yourself room to grow.
I was good. I just wouldn't give myself an A+.
Right now, Hazel is serious about being a pilot when she grows up.
You're so welcome, Hazel. Her feet don't quite reach the pedals yet.
Her goals could change.
Boy, if there's an open seat, she's in there.
But for now,
everything is aviation related for Hazel.
The sky's the limit.
This counts towards your pilot's license eventually.
Ever since I started flying, I just loved it so much.
All right, we're both parents. Our kids are a little older than her. Would you let your daughters do that?
There was an experienced pilot sitting right there.
There was, that's true, yes.
Not by herself.
No.
But with someone who's got a lot of miles on them.
Behind it. That's probably, I agree with that, yes. Yeah. All right, that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm T. Chappelle. Thanks for watching. Next time on Investigate TV Plus, a family says their mentally ill brother needed help, not handcuffs, before he died.
We comb through body camera footage and documents and reveal why no one was held accountable.